In the last class, we discussed that the story goes back to the author's first meeting with this woman, Frofida, in Vienna at a tavern 34 years before, right? The woman was born in Colombia and had come to Austria as a child to learn music, okay? But she never disclosed her real name to anybody, but everyone used to call her as Frofida, okay? The author wanted to know what she did for a living, to which she replied saying that I sell my dreams. So I read to you the next part of the text. Okay. When she was 11, she dreamt that one of her brothers was carried off by a flood. Her mother, out of religious superstition, forbade the boy to swim in the ravine, which was his favorite pastime. But Frofida already had her own system of prophecy. What that dream means isn't that he is going to drown, but that he should not eat sweets. Her interpretation seemed an infamy to a 5-year-old boy who could not live without his sundry treats. Their mother, convinced of her daughter's oracular talents, enforced the warning with an iron hand. But in her first careless moment, the boy choked on a piece of caramel that he was eating, and there was no way to save him. So, here we come to know that she dreamt about her brother carried off by a flood, okay, and her mother, out of religious superstition, prevented the boy from swimming in the ravine, which was his favorite pastime. Okay, but see, this is very interesting. Frau Frida had her own system of prophecy. Okay, she dreamt that her brother will be carried off by a flood, but the way she interpreted was that her brother should not eat any sweets. Okay, what that dream means, she said, isn't that he's going to drown, but that he should not eat sweets. So the interpretation of her dream was that her brother should not eat sweets. See, a little boy of 5-year-old was prevented from eating sweets. Obviously, he felt bad, right? So their mother, convinced of her daughter's oracular talents, enforced the warning with an iron hand. But in a first careless moment, the boy choked on a piece of caramel that he was eating, and there was no way to save him. So exactly what Frau Frida said, the same thing happened. The little boy was choked on a piece of caramel and he died. Okay, the next part of the text. Frofida did not think she could earn a living with her talent until life caught by her throat during the winters in Vienna. Then she looked for work at the first house where she would have lived. Then when she was asked what she should do, she only told the truth, I dream. A brief explanation to the lady of the house was all she needed, and she was hired at a salary that just covered her minor expenses. As you people told me that you don't have a textbook, so I thought better I'll tell you the whole text first. I'll read out to you the text, so that's the reason I'm doing it paragraph wise, okay? But she had a nice room and 3 meals a day, breakfast in particular. When the family sat down to learn the immediate future of each of its members, the father, a refined financier, the mother, a joyful woman, passionate about romantic chamber music, and 2 children, 11 and 9 years old. They were all religious and therefore inclined to archaic superstitions. This will go back to your prior knowledge test. They were all religious people and therefore they were inclined to archaic superstitions. And they were delighted to take in Frau Frida, whose only obligation was to decipher the family's daily fate through the dreams. So that's what is very important. A decipher means to interpret her dreams. She did her job well and for a long time, above all during the war years when reality was more sinister than nightmares. Only she could decide at breakfast what it should do that day and how it should be done. So basically, she's trying to control the whole family with her mind, with her dreams. Until her predictions became the sole authority in the house. Her control over the family was absolute. Even the faintest thing was done as per her orders. The master of the house died at about the time I was in Vienna and had the elegance to leave her a part of the estate on the condition that she could continue dreaming for the family until her dreams came to an end. This is what is written in your text, okay? So we come to know that during the intense winter in Vienna, she got a job at the house of a very religious family where she was given a room. She was also given 3 meals a day and money, just enough to cover her minor expenses. Her only job is to interpret her dreams and predict the family's daily fate based on which the family members, including children, they plan their activities. Okay. Even the master of the house left a part of his estate on the condition that she would continue to interpret her dreams for the family. So we see that how dream is used as power in the story, right? It is because of dreams that Frau Frida could control the family, right? Her control of the family was absolute, right? Even the master of the house who died at about the time the author was there, he left a part of his estate for Frau Frida. And Frau Frida's visit to the tavern were like fiestas in poverty-stricken regime. One evening, Frau Frida tells the author to leave Vienna right away and not to come back for 5 years. Her conviction is so strong that makes the author leave for Rome that very night and never return to Vienna. Now, important question here is, did the author believe in the prophetic ability of Frau Frida? This is a very frequently asked question in your exams as well. So for this, in order to answer this question, you need to familiarize yourself with this part of the text, which I'm going to read it right now. Okay? I stayed in Vienna for more than a month, sharing the straitened circumstances of the other students while I waited for money that never arrived. Frau Frida's unexpected visits to the tavern were like fiestas, were like festivals for other students, who could not pay the bill of the restaurant. One night, in a euphoria, she whispered in my ear with a conviction that permitted no delay. So the author is saying that the way she told him with a conviction that he didn't want to delay, and that day itself he left, Vienna. I only came to tell you that I dreamt about you last night, she said. You must leave right away and not come back to Vienna for 5 years. Her conviction was so real. This part of the text is important. See, here lies the answer. Her conviction was so real that I boarded the last train to Rome the same night. As of me, I was so influenced by what she said that from then on, I consider myself a survivor of some catastrophe. Catastrophe could be some disaster. He's saying that by doing so, I feel I have saved myself from some kind of disaster, which I never experienced. Okay. I still have not returned to Vienna. 13 years later, the author is in Barcelona now and with his friend Pablo Neruda. Pablo Neruda also is a very famous poet who won Nobel Prize in the year 1971. So we see here that the author is in Barcelona along with his friend Pablo Neruda, and here they meet Frau Frida. Okay, I'll just read to you the text. Before the disaster in Havana, I had seen Frau Frida in Barcelona, that is Spain, unexpected way that it seemed a mystery to me. He thought, the author thought it is a mystery to him, right? He did not believe his eyes that that lady is Frau Frida when he met her in Barcelona, Spain. It happened on the day Pablo Neruda stepped on Spanish soil for the first time since the Civil War. He spent a morning with us hunting big game in the second-hand bookstores. They were moving around here and there, searching books. Okay. Uh, he moved through the crowd like an invalid elephant, like a small child. Okay, for the world appeared to him as an immense wind-up toy with which life invented itself. I have never known anyone closer to the idea that one has of a Renaissance Pope. He was gluttonous and refined. Here, the author tells us that Pablo Neruda was like a Renaissance Pope. Renaissance Pope were very wealthy people. As you already know, Renaissance was an age of learning. Now you have to know why Pablo Neruda is compared to Renaissance Pope. Okay, you have a question on this also as well. He was gluttonous and refined. The comparison was for the reason that he was gluttonous and refined. Gluttonous is a person who eats too much, right? Even against his will, he always presided at the table. Matilde, his wife, would put a bib around his neck that belonged in a barber shop rather than a dining room. So his wife used to put bib around his neck so that it doesn't spill anything. Okay. That day at Carvalier's was typical. He ate 3 whole lobsters, dissecting them with surgeon's skill, and at the same time devoured everyone else's plate with his eyes, and tasted a little from each with a delight that made the desire to eat contagious. The way he ate, it made the other people around to look at him. Okay, he tasted different kind of cuisines that day. Okay, all at once he stopped eating, turned his lobster's antennae, and said to me in a very quiet voice, "There's someone behind me who won't stop looking at me." So when he was busy eating, okay, he could feel it, he could sense it that someone was looking at him from behind. So what we understand from this part of the text is that the day when the author meets Frau Frida was the same day when this writer or the poet Pablo Neruda also came to Barcelona. Okay, it was just after the Civil War. During lunch, Neruda whispers to the author that he feels that somebody is continuously watching him from behind. We discussed in the last slide that the poet Pablo Neruda tells the author that someone from behind is continuously looking at him, glancing at him, right? So I read to you the text. I glanced over his shoulder and it was true. So the author is saying that it was true. What the poet Pablo Neruda felt was true. Someone was looking at him, glancing at him. 3 tables away sat a lady in an old-fashioned fat hat and a purple scarf, eating without haste and staring at him. I recognized her right away. She had grown old and fat. So the author is saying Frofida has become old and fat, but it was Frofida with the snake ring on her index finger. She was traveling from Naples on the ship as Neruda and his wife, but they had not seen each other on board. We invited her to have coffee at our table, and I encouraged her to talk about her dreams in order to astound the poet. He paid no attention from the very beginning, as he had announced that he did not believe in prophetic dreams. The poet Pablo Neruda was not interested because he never believed in prophetic dreams. He never believed in prophecy. Because this poet Pablo Neruda believed that only poetry is clairvoyant. That means only poetry has the power to tell you about the future, what might happen in the future. So this part of the story tells us that the author turns back and is surprised to see the lady, and that lady is Frau Frida. Frau Frida was a co-passenger on the same ship as Neruda's and his wife Matilde, and they had not seen each other on board. The author introduces her to all at the table, okay, and tells her to talk about dreams, hoping that it is going to astound the disbelieving poet, because Pablo Neruda never believed in prophetic dreams. He always believed that it is poetry, it is poem that has the power to tell us the future. So this famous quote, the last line in your slide, he paid no attention from the very beginning. He had announced that he did not believe in prophetic dreams. Only poetry is clairvoyant, he said. Okay, only poetry has the power to tell you what is going to happen in the future. See, as for example, you take any poem. I'll give you the same example as daffodils. Okay, I'll give you the poem The Solitary Reaper by William Wordsworth. It's about a lady who is singing, and okay, and the poet is listening to the song. The poet feels very good, and he tells that now, as I'm leaving, the song is still in my mind. Okay, that is something to do with our present times. Also, if you listen to something which is good, you still remember those things. Not exactly, but obviously a little part of it. So poetry is clairvoyant. It can tell you what can be in future, but not dreams.